good afternoon. Students, faculty, staff, our alumni, members of the Board of Trustees, former presidents, former and emeritus trustees, corporate and institutional partners, family and friends of Delaware Valley University. I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone here today. Before we begin, please take a moment and silence your cell phones. Thank you for your cooperation. Good afternoon and welcome again. My name is Dr. Gloria Oikolome, Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs at Delaware Valley University, and it is my distinct pleasure to serve as Master of Ceremonies for today's inauguration of Delaware Valley University's 14th President, Dr. Benjamin E. Rusiloski. This is a very important day for Delaware Valley University. As most of you know, we have been celebrating the 125th anniversary of this institution for the past year. This celebration is coming to an end this fall, and as part of today's ceremony, we will be sharing different excerpts of Dr. Joseph Kroskoff's writings to honor the founding principles that continue to shape who we are today. While I've only been at Del Val for a few weeks, 3 weeks, 1 day, 7 hours. We'll see about Monday. I would like to share with you some of the key elements that attracted me to this institution and subsequently led to me accepting the opportunity to serve in my current capacity. Before I even set foot on this campus, I already had a sense of the dedicated and close community of faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends, based on feedback from friends who were associated with the institution. When I arrived on campus for the final interview process, and leading up until accepting the position and settling in, everything I had been told was confirmed. The story of our founding, initially as a national farm school in 1896, is unique and unlike many institutions of higher education. It's a story that resonates with me personally on many levels. Rabbi Kroskoff immigrated to the United States from what is now Poland at the age of 14 and was deeply troubled by the extreme poverty he witnessed among immigrants, particularly Jewish immigrants from Russia, in the industrial cities of the East Coast. He often spoke about the problem of poverty in our country and many other issues of social justice. He traveled to Russia in 1895 and met with Leo Tolstoy to ask him to come up with a solution to stop immigrants from flooding to America. Rabbi Kroskoff's idea was that farms should be started in Russia and that Jews there be taught to return to the land and make a living as farmers. Tolstoy told Rabbi Kroskoff that conditions were too poor in Russia and that he, Kroskoff, should go back to America where land was plentiful and less expensive and start a farm school to better the lives of immigrants living in poverty in American cities. Rabbi Kroskoff returned to America and within 2 weeks had raised $10,000 to buy the home farm still part of this campus and opened the doors to 16 young Jewish immigrants who paid nothing for room, board, or classes. As a child of immigrants who also immigrated to the United States in search of a better life, freedom, and of opportunity, I grew up hearing my parents also speak of the problems of poverty in our country and various issues of social justice. At the time, they were deeply troubled about our country, along with many others in Western Africa. Much like Rabbi Kroskoff, my parents were also not content to simply sit and lament the situation. They sought solutions, the first of which was hard work and making sacrifices to give their children the opportunity of a sound education. In his will, Rabbi Kroskoff wrote that the farm school was born of my innermost conviction in the supreme worth of agriculture, the honorable calling of our ancestors, as one of the best means of securing safety and happiness to the sorely afflicted of our people. The National Farm School was founded as a solution to poverty, which he viewed as a crucial issue of social justice in America. Rabbi Kroskoff did not stop at ensuring educational access. His key focus was to challenge students at that time to think about when that education ended and to look out into the world and decide what they were going to use that education for. Again, this resonates with me on a personal level, as my parents consistently reiterated the fact that the educational opportunity we were receiving was not only for our own individual edification, but to make a difference in the world around us. I'm standing here today on the shoulders of those who made sacrifices so that I could have access to educational opportunities. In return, it is now my privilege to serve as a leader and educator in this country, at this institution, continuing the legacy of Rabbi Kroskov to ensure access and support for every student to achieve their academic goals in fighting poverty, the great equalizer, which remains a critical issue of social justice in our nation today, and to challenge our students to look beyond themselves and use their education to impact the world around them in the same way that my parents consistently challenged me to continue doing the same. Thank you. I ask you all now to stand for our national anthem. You may be seated. I would like to welcome Kate Littlefield to the podium now. Kate is a member of our Board of Trustees, and she chaired the search committee for our new president.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Before I begin to sing the song of Ben Rusiloski and his many qualities, the qualities that in fact have brought him to this point today, I'd like to recognize the individuals who staffed the Presidential Search Committee. These men and women represent a diverse pool of educators, managers, physicians, alumni, Del Val associates, and trustees. They volunteered hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of hours of their free time to collect and examine the best qualified applicants from a national pool with only one goal in mind: finding the right person to lead this university into the future. And to that end, I want to thank the committee for their goodwill, their honesty, their courage, and their commitment. We owe these men and women a debt of thanks. At this moment, I'd like each individual to stand as I call their name and remain standing. Corey Krishnick, Allison Cohen, Fred Cope, Gary Ehrlich, Christine Steele, Andrew Moyer, Joy Levy, Jeff Marshall, Kate Riley, Jimmy Cheek, and Kathy Payne. Thank you all. As a committee, we were keenly aware of both the opportunities and the challenges that exist in this institution. The qualities that bring students to Del Val are numerous. Del Val's small class size, the small town feel of the campus, undergrad and graduate programs that are clearly focused on specific career opportunities and success after graduation. And of course, there's our unique signature, the experiential learning program. The challenges in higher education are also well documented. Declining student populations, skyrocketing tuition costs, and shrinking endowments have all provoked a much-needed national dialogue regarding the value and, in fact, the relevance of college education. We knew that we needed to find an extraordinary leader for the school, an individual who would face these challenges head-on with honesty, integrity, and above all, courage. In a crowded field with many good applicants, a few great applicants, and even fewer exceptional applicants, there was really only one choice: Ben. And to that end, the search committee unanimously affirmed his selection, as did the Board of Trustees. While there have been many competent leaders in this institution, there are a few that are viewed as pivotal, those who are responsible for transforming the institution over the years. One, of course, Rabbi Dr. Joseph Kraskoff, Dr. James Work, and Joshua Feldstein. I know I speak for the committee and the Board of Trustees when I say we believe Dr. Ben Rusiloski will be the next name in that sequence. He's a leader with deep roots in Del Val and the surrounding community. He's the right person for the right job. He's the right person at the right time for an extremely important job. Dr. Ben, congratulations. We're rooting for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. I would now like to welcome Reverend Dr. Robert Linders, theologian in residence at St. Paul's Lutheran Church in Doylestown.
Let us pray. O God, more distant than the heavens, yet nearer than breathing and closer than hands and feet, we thank you for this ground on which we stand and for all those who have gone before us, who dreamed great dreams for this university and on whose shoulders we stand. We ask your blessing on Benjamin as he becomes the 14th president of this school. Let not success make him arrogant but grateful. Let not failure make him fearful but wiser. Let not pain or malice embitter him, but enlarge his capacity to endure and overcome. Give courage to those who work with him. Enlarge their expectations. Give them direction, enthusiasm, and good sense. Save them from excessive caution, fear of spontaneity, and hasty judgment. Help them unite passion and reason, and grant that in what they champion and how they go about it, they may always strive for the betterment of this school. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Linders. I would like to welcome Jim Traynor to the podium. Jim is a 1982 alum of Del Val, served previously on our Board of Trustees, and remains active with the university on behalf of our alumni.
Thank you, and welcome to Del Val.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm delighted and honored to be here today to represent the many graduates of Delaware Valley University and its antecedents across years: Delaware Valley College, the National Agricultural College and Junior College, and the National Farm School. Ours is a rich history dating back to our founding by Dr. Joseph Kraskoff in 1896. Through the work of Drs. James Work and Joshua Feldstein and many others throughout the 20th and into the 21st century. Today's inauguration of Dr. Benjamin Rusiloski as the university's 14th president marks another important milestone in our journey as an institution. Reflecting on our origin story and guiding principles, we know that Dr. Kraskoff, a rabbi, a teacher not unlike Dr. Ben, shared many important insights about the significant issues of his day and how we should interact and treat and care for one another. His wisdom endures to the present, advice that knows no age. In fact, as I thought about the relationship between alumni and their alma mater, and what alumni represent to an institution, I was struck by a particular quote from Dr. Krauskopf as he offered the following quote, "Not unison, but concord in the midst of variety. Not absolute sameness, but harmony in the midst of difference. This is the lesson that nature teaches us in 1,000 different languages and with 1,000 different tongues," unquote. Indeed, alumni first come to the institution as students from many different places and backgrounds with varied interest and lived experiences, speaking different languages, both literally and figuratively. Then, as graduates, we go out to locations around the globe to accomplish good, important, and different things, to have an impact in big and small ways by what we do and by our concern for others, and like Krauskopf, our desire to improve the human condition. Not called to do the same thing, but to live in concord and harmony with one another. We take with us from here on the winding banks of the Neshaminy a commitment to the common good, in understanding that we are part of something larger than ourselves, a respect for difference, and an appreciation of hard work. All values we know resonate with Dr. Ben. Inspired by an Aggie can-do spirit, and as our alma mater says, quote, "fearless of the tasks ahead," we go forth with courage, strength, and unity, but not sameness, to help build Del Val's fame. As alumni, we partner with students, faculty, staff, administration, trustees, and one another as keepers of a flame entrusted to us and entrusted here today in a very special way to Ben. So Ben, please know that we stand here with you today, wherever we may actually be, whatever we may actually be doing. We stand in concord and harmony as you assume the mantle of leadership for our beloved alma mater. Having known you for nearly 30 years, we know you are one of us and love the green and gold as much as we do. We extend to you our congratulations and best wishes. Know that we are ready to assist you in any way possible as you strive to meet the needs of the current and future members of the Del Val community, and as you continue to advance Dr. Krauskopf's dream of so many years ago. Mazel tov.
Thank you, Dr. Trainer. Representing our excellent and committed faculty, I now have the privilege of inviting Dr. Jessica McCall to the podium. Jess is an associate professor of English in our associate professor in our English department. Don't say anything about that because you're English. No, just is co-coordinator of our interdisciplinary studies program and is the 2022 distinguished faculty member. Jess?
I promise. One of my pet peeves as an educator is when we refer to all spaces outside of the classroom as the real world, as if the moment we step foot inside a school, we enter an alternate dimension, a space outside of the rules and requirements of the rest of our lives, a space where we are free and able to learn. Wouldn't that be nice? But sadly, schools and all their classrooms are very much the real world. We cannot forget our anxieties or set aside our various responsibilities in order to learn. We must be who we are, dealing with the messiness of our life, even when trying to learn chemistry with Dr. Rusiloski. Part of why we discuss hands-on learning is precisely to acknowledge this struggle, Everyone's busy. Everyone's tired. Please teach me something that will help me in my life, we beg. It was this reality that drove in part Rabbi Kravskoff's philosophy of teaching science with practice. Real people have real needs, and that requires a real education. We need to know how what we learn in the classroom applies to the rest of our life, not because the classroom isn't real, but because everyday life happens in all sorts of messy, contradictory ways that rarely resemble the examples found in textbooks. And this is where teaching literature with practice comes in. How we read the world, read ourselves and other people, requires the same set of skills as reading books. For example, one of the most formative quotes of my youth comes from Spider-Man, delivered by another well-known Ben, "With great power comes great responsibility." It's easy to dismiss comic books and superheroes and media aimed at a broad audience. Every 10 years or so, an op-ed piece is published by a very angry English professor bemoaning the loss of serious reading in school, and fair enough. But while we might explore probing questions of power, corruption, temptation, and self-governance with Milton's Paradise Lost, most people I know are more familiar with Spider-Man. So let's imagine we're teaching literature with practice, and today's assignment is this quote. We might ask ourselves, what does it mean to have responsibility? Why does an increase in power require an increase in our responsibility? Well, the more power you have, the more consequences there are, and the more severe those consequences are for every decision you make. As president of Delaware Valley University, Dr. Rusiloski must balance prioritizing the material needs of our school with the people who make this our school. This balancing act often goes unnoticed and unappreciated because it isn't flashy, and when done correctly, no one is entirely happy. And so we come to yet another meaning of this seemingly simple quote. Power isn't fun. Power isn't a game. Responsible power is ensuring that you think of other people first with every decision you make. Responsible power is understanding the complexities and dangers of having power. So, congrats, Dr. Rusiloski, on your inauguration. But seriously, you're going to be a great leader because you are a great leader. You were as a department chair, you were as a dean, you were as a vice president, and you will be as president. Being in charge is rarely as much fun in real life as it is in the movies. Dr. Rusiloski's choices for our school mean that sometimes we will be at odds. That is inevitable, but he has already demonstrated his commitment to responsibility. I know Ben is willing to discuss and debate the best course of action, and that means that even when we disagree, even if sometimes we hurt each other, we can find a way forward. Ensuring everyone with power engages it responsibly is what makes Del Valle a community that debates and compromises to ensure everyone has what they need, even if they don't always get what they want. It is easy to judge from the outside. It is easy to imagine from the comfort of our seat, watching the movie or reading the book, that we know what we would do. We know how we would act. But Ben has been tested and has proven his commitment to this ethos of responsible power time and time again. To have a president or any leader that understands this concept is like winning the lotto. To have a leader who is willing to put his own well-being on the line, to risk his own security for the greater good, that's basically like finding a unicorn. And that is why I'm so grateful to give this speech at the inauguration of someone I truly respect and admire. Teaching should always be a mixture of theory and practice. We should seek to know why things work as well as how, and that is a quest all teachers share, whether we are from the sciences, the liberal arts, or the humanities. I don't teach stories because I imagine they have clear answers we can easily carry out of the classroom. I teach stories because I love them, and I think they provide a tremendous and necessary vehicle for our minds and souls to soar. If we want to read critically, if we want to read experientially, asking, why does this matter, is how we do it. When Uncle Ben tells Peter Parker that with great power comes great responsibility, it's a reminder that we are all connected. To have power is not to be great individually, but a responsibility to build a better community. So thank you, President Ben, for approaching this position with the same consideration, self-awareness, and generosity of spirit that we so often value in fiction, but so very rarely see in the real world. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. I would now like to welcome the president of our Student Government Board, Arij Alfain. Arij is a biology student in our class of 2024.
Hello, my name is Arij and I'm a junior. As the president of Student Government Board, I am here to congratulate Dr. Ben Rusiloski on behalf of all Del Val students. I consider myself very lucky to be able to work with Dr. Ben at such an early stage in my career. He is a leader, a mentor, and a friend to us all. As a leader, he is dedicated, knowledgeable, and reliable. As a mentor, he is encouraging and inspires us all to never settle and to work towards achieving the goals that we dream of. He is supportive on both personal and an institutional level. As a friend, he is always there when we need him. He is a great listener and tries to be involved with all students at all times. For example, during one of the event days we had on campus, Dr. Ben had a matching outfit with all the ambassadors on campus. This was a moment that we sure will not forget soon. Part of being a student at Del Val is having hands-on experience within our field before graduating. This is where our E360 program comes in. My own E360 experiences have been as a biology pre-professional major, is working as a pharmacy technician, being a peer mentor, and working on campus as a microbiology lab technician. Rabbi Joseph Kroskoff once said, "It is one of the laws of our being that only in seeking the happiness of others can we find our own." Indeed, our community here at Del Val does not fail to show caring and compassion for others. And following in Rabbi Kroskoff's steps, Dr. Ben has become a great example of building a strong campus community, our Del Val family. Dr. Ben, thank you for being a great role model to our community. We are excited for the future to see how Del Val grows with your leadership and support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arij. I now invite Lisa Schell to share some thoughts with us. Lisa graduated Del Val in 2019 and earned her master's in counseling psychology in 2022. Lisa received the 2022 Graduate School Scholar Award last spring.
Good afternoon to our guests, faculty and staff, students, and fellow alumni. It is truly an honor to be here today and speak on behalf of the graduate students as a recent alumna at Delaware Valley University for this momentous inauguration of Dr. Benjamin Rusiloski. My name is Lisa Schell, and I recently received my master's in counseling psychology on the social justice track, where I held the position as a graduate assistant while attending school and raising a young family. With that in mind, I will begin by sharing a quote from our founder, Rabbi Joseph Kroskoff. "I know of no better definition of civilization than a state of society in which prevails the greatest amount of human happiness and the least amount of human suffering. I cannot hear these words without acknowledging the importance we all play as a community and as a nation, as each student here at Del Val has heard these words of truth and wisdom. My story began at the search for schools online while living in the state of Colorado, and after enduring difficult personal life circumstances that had caused human suffering, I was looking for something that was more than an academic education that involved mainly books and information, as are many students who pursue an education at Del Val. I was searching for an experience that included the core of what makes excellence prevail within our community in a way that was accessible for everyone, coupled with a student and human-centered approach to learning. Skills needed for this to take place are those with leadership, growth mindsets, and a passion to lead those they guide to success. What I didn't know then was there were many people working hard behind the scenes to support what we know as one of the hallmarks that makes Del Val a leader in education today. An experience that provides real-life hands-on work with a chosen educational degree and within our communities. That hallmark, the E360 program. It was this program that stood out for me all the way in Colorado, and as it does for most of the students attending Del Val. It was this program that got me out to see our beautiful community and its members. It was because of this program I was able to gain experience working with a community nonprofit organization that targets areas of human suffering. Now, from the Office of the President and Personal Communication, it was Dr. Rusiloski who led a task force involving a Del Val team comprised of multiple departments and administrators in 2012 that designed and implemented this program that has provided Del Val students the opportunities available to them to effectively work and contribute towards society, of prosperity and the least amount of human suffering. Adding to this, Del Val is currently growing with new degree programs that are focused in healthcare and the helping practices such as physician assistant, hospital administration, and more. With exponential growth centered around the helping fields of study and those who will graduate to go on to serve our communities, we could not have a more deserving and suited 14th president than Dr. Rusiloski, who has already shown strength in leadership, passion for others' successes, and continually acts in a growth mindset. With excitement and positive anticipation, we welcome you to lead Del Val and its students to future successes and the true difference they will make towards a prevailing society.
Thank you, Arij, and thank you, Lisa. Our students are why we are all here. And so when we hear that feedback from them, it motivates us to increase our commitment. I would now like to welcome Chris Becker on behalf of our staff. Chris is Director of Agricultural Operations for Del Val and is also one of the staff representatives on our Board of Trustees. Chris?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Becker, and I am the Director of Ag Operations here at Del Val. I'm also a staff representative to the Board of Trustees. I'm not going to lie, when I was first asked to speak, I was definitely a little nervous. I was a little excited. I spent a few days working on my speech. I sent it in. Everyone seemed happy. I seemed happy. And then I went about my business. But then at our corporate partners event the other night, there was a crucial mistake. Dr. Ben introduced me to his mom and his sister, and I had to rewrite the entire speech. Did you know when Dr. Ben was 7 years old? I'm sorry. Unfortunately for the ending of that story, and many, many more, you will have to seek out Dr. Ben's family throughout this weekend. Back to my original speech. Dr. Ben, it is with great respect as a representative of the staff at Delaware Valley University that I and the entire staff congratulate you as you formally accept the helm as Del Val's 14th president. The staff of Del Val, many of which you have been working with for so very long, look forward to the opportunity to continue to work alongside you, as well as working with the entire campus community to uphold the core values set forth by our institution. In 1911, Rabbi Kroskoff wrote in his annual report, "Not one annual report, or several of them, can represent an adequate picture of the work that is being done on these grounds, or convey a proper conception of its importance. Here lads are being fitted into becoming future leaders of the people." Taking into consideration Rabbi Kroskoff's words, we look to the uniqueness of Del Val in the landscape of higher education. We look to the South Campus. There are not many institutions where one can see from a single vantage point classrooms, dorms, lecture halls, labs, orchards, barns, tractors, crop fields, horses, cows, sheep. We see our students in all of those areas taking place of true experiential learning and the unmeasurable that Rabbi Kroskoff alludes to in his previous words. It will be a challenge for anyone on the outside looking in to grasp the entirety and diversity required for the position of president at an institution like ours. But Dr. Ben has risen to the challenge, as he has done at Del Val for nearly 3 decades. I know throughout all the various positions that he has held here at Del Val, he has walked well over the 1,000 acres that make up Del Val, probably more than once, although I am almost positive that he has yet to pull a 3:45 a.m. milking shift at the dairy. There is always an extra pair of overalls for an honored guest. As you spend time on campus, it is easy to find and talk to Dr. Ben. You will often find him out and about, speaking with students, faculty, and staff. He is always approachable and will always make time for whomever needs it for as long as they need him. As we look to the future, I know the staff of Del Val is proud to call Dr. Ben our president. We are excited by the opportunities that his leadership has already provided, and we look forward to facing the future together for years to come. Thank you so very much for your time. Dr. Ben, congratulations.
Thank you, Chris. One of the things I was told before I signed the contract was I had to milk a cow before the campus community. Haven't heard that hasn't happened yet either. We'll do it together someday then.
Monday.
Remember what I said about Monday earlier? I would now like to invite Dr. April Vari to come and say a few words.
Good afternoon, and a beautiful one it is. It is a delight to see this large gathering after so long of not being able to engage as a community in this way, and how appropriate in terms of this major milestone that we're here to celebrate today. One of the things that I truly treasure about higher education are events like these, the traditions, the ceremonies, the pomp of the procession, the colors and the regalia that our faculty wear that remind us about learning and education and the disciplines that they represent. To the delegates that are here, you enhance our experience, so thank you for being with us today. I think that the ceremony and tradition of higher education are ties that bind us to what I believe is a very unique enterprise, one that extends back hundreds and hundreds of years, but one that is in constant reinvention and evolution. And this evolution is true for us as well at Del Val, and as we gather in this moment of community and connection through the inauguration of a new president, I think it provides us with the space to reflect on where we've been for the past 125 years and where we will go in the next 125 years under new leadership. It is truly an honor for me today to have been asked to play this part in this ceremony by offering some remarks about Dr. Ben. I know that there are many people in this audience who have known him for longer than I, but over the past decade, we have worked, learned, planned, and dreamed together about the promise and potential of Del Val to transform the lives of students who do find their way to us. It's a partnership and a friendship of value to me, and through it, I've had the opportunity to experience and witness the depth of Dr. Ben's commitment and love for this university, its promise, and its people. Before I go any further, I would like to acknowledge and welcome Dr. Ben's family who are with us today, and to say a particular thank you, I think, to his wife Erin, daughters Lauren and Ophelia, and son Benjamin. I think we owe you a thanks for being part of this journey. The role of university president is a magical one. At its heart, it's a role vested with the cultivation of the hopes and dreams for students who will go forth and change the world. But I also imagine that it is not a role for the faint of heart. The hours are long, the demands are great, and I know that you are the support and safe harbor for Ben. He speaks of you often, and from that I know that you are the bedrock of his success. To his mother, Madeline, or Punky, as we met her last night, I'd like to extend a special greeting. I know what an inspiration you have been to your son and how your own journey as a lifelong and non-traditional learner has been part of what has called him to a life of education and called him to this moment of leadership for Del Val. So, about Ben. We know Ben well, so my task for today has been to try to illuminate a few aspects of his personality that you may know or may not. Leaders lead through and as a reflection of who they are, so I thought I would try to bring to the fore some of Ben's superpowers and attributes that shine a light on who he is and that make him so well suited to serve as our 14th president. One of the things that has been surprising, and honestly on occasion humorous to me as I've come to get to know Ben over the years, is that he has a rather impressive, eclectic, and dare I say, surprising range of musical tastes and interests. His family is resonating to what I'm saying here. Now and again in conversations and in meetings, out of his mouth will pop some song lyric just right for the moment, and I think my cabinet colleagues will vouch for me when we had this experience just yesterday with a quote from Meatloaf, circa 1977. And yes, sometimes the song or lyric of choice is literally from decades past, but this is also relevant to understanding who Ben is because he has the most prodigious memory of anyone I have ever met. Beyond the well-timed quotes that occasionally spring from his mouth, in many conversations that we've had over the years, he simply shares his tastes in music and artists that he's listening to. And if I'm being honest, my internal reactions have sometimes been, would never have guessed Ben to be a fan of Eminem. I don't know, I just never would have made that connection. So as I was thinking about today, I found myself wondering if I could do anything in my remarks with this connection to music and memory. And I'm not sure where this idea came from, but given Dr. Ben's long tenure and his many steps along the way that he has made here at Del Val, I wondered, just on a lark, what would happen if I tried to research the Billboard #1 song of the year for the different milestones along his journey. So, milestone #1. It's 1994, and Ben Rusiloski, a newly minted Ph.D. in physical chemistry from Duke University, arrives at Delaware Valley University, then college, to begin what we now know will be a long and fruitful career. Now, Ben, your memory is amazing enough that you probably have the answer in your head. We'll test it at the end. But this mere mortal had to rely on Google for a little help. So, enter into Google, Billboard #1, single, 1994. And I have to be honest, when the results popped up, I looked twice and I thought, really? That's too good for the purpose of these remarks to be right. So according to Google, the #1 song the year of Ben's arrival was The Sign by Ace of Base. I searched it 2 more times just to be sure that I got the same result. And I decided it was a sign that the answer was The Sign, and I decided to quit while I was ahead. Because whether you call it a sign or kismet or that time and chance aligned or simply that things happen for a reason, the die was cast in that moment in 1994 for this moment in 2022. Ben, I believe, has a calling for Del Val. It's a deep sense of purpose for this university and the role that he is meant to play here. It's in his DNA. It's something he loves and that to his core he believes in. So much so that if you were asked him to open his wallet, you would find a card with the core values of the university. He lives and calls upon them in good times and in challenging times, and he urges us all to do the same. This is not an affectation of a newly appointed president. That card has been there for years. It's a little worn around the edges, and it serves as a North Star in all that he does. Our founder, Rabbi Krauskopf, to whom we so often look for inspiration, said that the whole world is open to him who consecrates himself to some mission in life. And for Ben, one great mission in his life is the stewardship and care for this university. The reason I was so tickled by the Google search and the sign is that I have known for years in my gut that Ben would someday land in the seat of president of Delaware Valley University. I didn't know when, but I knew it would be so when the time was right. But meeting the moment for leadership when the time is right is about more than fate or chance or destiny or signs. It's about preparation. And Ben has been preparing for this moment. He may be a new president, but he is not new to Del Val, and his history and his understanding are among his superpowers. He began his journey as assistant professor of chemistry in 1994, while the sign was climbing up the Billboard charts, and rose through the faculty ranks to achieve full professor status in 2006. From 2000 to 2007, he served as department chair in chemistry and biochemistry and as mathematics and physics department chair from 2002 to 2007. In 2007, he was appointed dean of what was then business, education, arts, and sciences. In 2011, after a national search, was named the dean of the School of Life and Physical Sciences. While serving as Dean of Life and Physical Sciences, Ben was asked to take on the role of Executive Director of the Center of Student Professional Development, a position he held until 2018. While the Executive Director for CSPD, he was instrumental and led the effort to establish our award-winning E360 program, in which all students have real-world experience in their field or area of interest. In 2016, he was named Vice President for Academic Affairs and Dean of Faculty And yes, if you are following the dates, for a 2-year period, he served as VPAA, Dean of Life and Physical Sciences, and Executive Director of CSPD. He has served on innumerable committees, served the university deeply and widely, has taught thousands of students, has led transformational initiatives, and knows every nook and cranny of this institution. He is no stranger to hard work. Rabbi Krauskopf has something to say about this as well. The secret of success lies within us and not outside any of us, and by success, we mean the carrying out of some well-sustained, conscientious, and courageous effort. No success worthy of consideration has been obtained without an early and thorough preparation. Through the many roles and years that have defined Ben's career at Del Val to date, he has a grounding in this institution that, in my view of things, will be the foundation for his success and for growing Del Val into our future, a weaving together of the past, the present, and the future into a rich fabric. I got a glimpse of this just this week in conversation with Professor Tabachnik, who is our chief marshal, who told me a story that while Ben was still professor in chemistry, he said to Professor Tabachnik, "You can't retire anytime soon." To which you said, well, what do you mean I can't retire anytime soon? He said, "You can't retire because I want my daughter Lauren to come to school here and I want you to be one of her teachers." And of course, Lauren has gone on to her own successful career, and I just think in that moment tells us the story of Ben, past, present, future, weaving together these aspects. There's a phrase in leadership management thinking that culture eats strategy for breakfast. It's a cautionary tale of leaders who try to impose their will and to make change and to create aspects of institutions without an understanding of place, people, and culture. In Dr. Ben, with his tenure and knowledge, we have a leader who knows how to work with, not against culture, to achieve new aims and ambitions, and who has the credibility and the respect to do just that. He knows Del Val, and more importantly, he knows us. No set of remarks about Ben can stand without commentary on the value that he places on people and the importance of relationships as part of the human enterprise generally and as the foundation for his stewardship of this university. Looking across the audience today and this gathering of our community, I feel confident in asserting that many, many of us have experienced this firsthand. Ben is the first person whose instinct is to pick up the phone, to have the conversation, to be in face-to-face engagement over issues and ideas, and yes, even around points of disagreement. He is quick to remember things that are happening in our lives and to reach out with a word or hand of support or thanks or concern. There's a humility to his style which is evident when he seeks and embraces ideas from others, knowing that those ideas just might be better than his own. His humility and humble style as a leader gives us the belief that we all matter, we're in it together, none of us is better than any of us, and that leadership is stewardship and service to place and people. During the period in which I was pulling together my thoughts for these remarks, I saw an article in the New York Times by Peter Coy with the headline, "Humility is a virtue, but can humble people succeed in the modern world?" Well, that certainly grabbed my attention because I had top of mind this idea of Ben as a humble leader. The article was full of observations from centuries-dead philosophers, most of which honestly was over my head, but to cut to the chase, the authors say that yes, depending on how we define humility, and that if by humility we mean listening to other people without presumption and being willing to learn from them, then yes, humility is a virtue that will fuel innovation and growth. Or, through another lens, Nelson Mandela is quoted as saying that a good head and a good heart is always a formidable combination. Excuse me. I can only agree, and in Dr. Rusiloski, we have that good head and good heart, and that will lead us together into the future. I said at the outset that inauguration ceremonies provide the moment for us to honor where we've been, but to light the future of where we are to go. In a reflection during our founding era, Rabbi Krauskopf said, "This year has been the best in our career. The changes it has brought, the vista it has opened, bring to our view an infinitely larger field of opportunity, and unless we are greatly mistaken, our work up to the present is but the opening bars of the prelude to the part the farm school is destined to play. Now, and to extend the music metaphor with thanks to my friend Jack Schmidt, as we've reached the coda of 125 years of our beloved Del Val, it's time to begin the next movement of the symphony that will define our next 125 years and the evolving part that Delaware Valley University is destined to play. To the family, friends, students, faculty, staff, colleagues, and guests that are here today, I am now honored to call to the podium Mr. Phil Lucarelli, Chair of the Del Val Board of Trustees, to invest with the symbols of office my colleague, my friend, our president, Dr. Benjamin Rusiloski. Phil?
Thank you. First of all, this font is way too small. This is like 14. I need like 18. My name is Phil Lucarelli. I'm an alumnus of this fine institution, graduated in 1983 with a degree in ornamental horticulture. And before I get into my remarks, I just wanted to take a moment again to thank Kate Littlefield and the entire selection committee because the process that they established was robust, inclusive, collaborative, and the results speak for themselves. So thank you, once again. Tremendously excited to be here and a bit scared because I realize that the biggest challenge of giving my remarks, I have to get through the next several minutes stating Dr. Ben's last name without totally screwing it up. And now that I know that you're a classic rock type of guy, I know what your presidency will not be. It will not be from the great song, The Talking Heads, Same It As Ever Was. It'll be quite different, I'm sure. It's a great pleasure for me, on behalf of the university's Board of Trustees, confer upon Ben Rusiloski the presidency of our university. It is a responsibility and a privilege for the Board of Trustees to select the president. Hearing the comments of our speakers, it is clear to me that we made the right choice. We could not be prouder of this important day as we invest Ben Rusiloski as Delaware Valley University's 14th president. Dr. Rusiloski's commitment to Delaware University will help define the next chapter in our future as we prepare our students to serve the world that awaits them. Today, Dr. Rusiloski will receive the Presidential Medallion, which is worn at the university's ceremonial occasions. Its weight is a reminder of the heavy and important responsibilities of leadership we ask from our president to carry. In its design, with the seal of the university, the medallion represents the face of the university and all who comprise its membership, faculty, students, staff, alumni, community members, and friends who support our mission and values. It is now a great privilege to formally invest Dr. Benjamin Rusiloski with the office of the President of Delaware Valley University. Dr. Ben, will you please join me at the podium? Today, this community of individuals committed to Delaware Valley University has come together to confer the highest office upon you. You have been duly selected by the Board of Trustees to serve as the 14th president of Delaware Valley University. In you, we see an individual who will carry forward the core values that make our university unique, as well as someone who will lead us to new success unimagined in 1986 at the dawn of this institution. As chair of the board, I am honored to install you in the office of president with all its requisite rights, privileges, and responsibilities. By accepting this medallion of the presidency, you accept the charge to serve with diligence, dedication, energy, vision, and integrity as you lead. The medallion is an emblem of the responsibility with which you are now invested in the solemn responsibilities laid upon you. With the symbol, the Board of Trustees entrusts Delaware Valley University to your leadership. Congratulations. Make sure we do this right. I get yelled at. I present to you the 14th president of Delaware Valley University.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, April, for your kind words. You have been a valued colleague for a decade now. More importantly, you've been my trusted friend and confidant for the entirety of that time. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Phil, and a special thanks to all of our speakers. They're all tough acts to follow. Gloria, Kate, Pastor Linders, Jim, Jess, Arij, Lisa, and Chris, for your kind remarks, and thank you to all of the trustees for entrusting me with the great pleasure, privilege, and responsibility of leading this institution at this time in Delaware Valley University's history. My sincerest thanks to our former presidents who are with us today, Dr. George West, Dr. Thomas Lamer, and Dr. Joseph Brosnan, for being here to celebrate and support our community. I also want to acknowledge Dr. Maria Gallo, who could not attend due to her own inauguration yesterday at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls. Each of them, along with former Vice President Dorothy Prisco and former Dean Dominic Monteleone, both of whom are here today, gave me opportunities at different junctures over the past 28 years to grow personally and professionally to serve this institution. As the 14th president of Del Val, I stand on a foundation built by many great leaders, those with us today and those who live with us in memory, including Dr. Joshua Feldstein, who led this institution several times and who, along with his family, hold a special place in my heart. Each of our presidents faced head-on the challenges of their time and made tremendous contributions to the success and the very fabric of Del Val, building toward what Del Val is today at this time. Thank you to our distinguished guests, those of you who have traveled from other colleges and universities, and to our community and corporate partners and friends who have joined us here today for your ongoing support of what we do. Honoring and supporting the integral role that higher education plays in developing productive members of our society and shaping future leaders is something that our entire community must own. Thank you to the Delaware Valley University community, to our faculty, to our staff, all of whom have shown me so much support and who have provided me with encouragement over the years, and particularly in the last 12 months. I am also now blessed with a complete cabinet of individuals who, along with their teams, join me in their steadfast commitment to the success of this institution. And a special thanks to our students, who are the most important part of what you will see and hear today. They include the volunteers that you saw in the bright shirts, our manners students, minorities in agriculture, natural resources, and related sciences who are hosting the Harvest Festival after the ceremony, and the students at the festival representing many of our more than 70 clubs and organizations. I also want to give a special shout out to the Manners advisors who have supported the students with the Harvest Festival, Dr. Melissa Wright, Dr. Carla Garzon, and Mr. Carlos Sotogil. The students are the reason that we're all here today. We now have over 17,000 alumni, and by my calculation, I have personally taught over 2,000 of them. I've had the pleasure to get to know many others through the years whom I did not teach, but who I know are important supporters of all that we do. Many of them were mentored by faculty as students who were the same faculty who mentored me early in my career. Our alumni are a crucial part of our Del Val community. We are proud of them and their many accomplishments and thankful for the way they give back through working with Del Val to offer internships to current students, through mentoring, by sharing their talents, and through financial support, which is critical in making Del Val educations affordable and accessible for the next generation. And I'm eternally grateful to my family and my friends, those here with me today and those who are not. The Malloy and Glyett families traveled to be here today. They have been a special part of our family for the past 25 years. Their presence in our lives always and here at this moment is appreciated. From my alma mater, King's College, President Father Tom Looney is here. He was a faculty member when I was at King's, and we both became presidents in the past year. It's been a pleasure reconnecting with him as part of the professional development programs for new presidents, and I am grateful for his friendship and support. Also here from King's is my former faculty member, my former dean, and lifelong mentor and friend, Professor Gloria Galante. I had Gloria as a faculty member for 4 different English courses at King's and an independent study. Gloria taught me how to be a better communicator and also the importance of what some people call soft or transferable skills. I actually prefer the term life skills. And I want to thank you, Gloria, for your friendship, but also your many life lessons. My mom, Punky, is here today in person, and my father, Ben, is always with me in spirit. My parents were first-generation college students, with my dad taking a more traditional 4-year route, and my mother pursuing her degree part-time after my 3 sisters and I began school once my father had finished his master's degree at night. I learned very early on from them the sacrifices and life balance that are involved in making higher education possible and that every pathway is unique. I saw that same sacrifice years later when we 4 kids headed off to college, and at one point there were 3 of us in school at the same time. My mom's and dad's experiences for themselves and with us laid the groundwork in my own career for a lifelong commitment to accessibility and affordability for all students at all points in their lives for all types of education. My parents instilled in all of us an incredible work ethic and a belief that all things were possible and to always dream and think big. My dad, as a teacher, coach, and athletic director, and my mother as a hospice nurse, also showed by example the importance and value of service to others as part of your profession. Servant leadership is the core of who I am because of you 2, Mom. Thank you for everything, most importantly, your unconditional love. My 3 sisters, Amy, Betsy, Katie, are here as well, and none of you are allowed to speak with them after the ceremony. Thanks, Chris Becker. There were 4 of us born over a 6-year period, so our lives intersected frequently through school and activities, not just at home while we were growing up. We have mutually supported each other through highs and lows, sometimes shared and other times owned by one with the support of others, for half a century now. I am proud of our relationship and the fact that I can always count on you. Thank you all for being here today. My nephew Sam is also in the audience. No matter what life has sent your way, you always stayed positive and you've never given up. I'm proud of the young man you've become. My daughters, Lauren and Ophelia, and my son Benjamin are here as well. They are true sources of inspiration to me each and every day. I am always awestruck by their resilience, their determination, and their creativity, particularly over recent years. They keep me connected to what matters most in life. You three have been a blessing and a gift to me. Even though you don't laugh much anymore at my dad jokes, or the way I sing the music you listen to with my own lyrics. I love you guys. My wife, Erin. We've been together for 24 years now, and every day I'm grateful for the time we have had and that which is to come. Erin has helped me to stay grounded, focused, and not take myself too seriously. She has also helped me to push and often overcome my self-imposed limits. I'm grateful for your love and support, and all that you do for our family and me and the life you have made for us. I know that you often have to fill the gaps that are created by my frequent Del Val-related absences. I couldn't do this without you, and I love you always. You've heard several members of the Del Val community share quotes today by our enlightened founder, Rabbi Joseph Krauskopf. These quotes explain a great deal about who we are as a community and as an institution. They really are the basis of our core values. And yes, Dr. Very, that card is still in the wallet today. Teach, learn, and serve with passion and commitment. Act as one learning community with one purpose. Value the world of ideas and differences. Live each day with integrity, respect all people, and pursue excellence. The core values are and always will be the foundation of who we are as an institution. It's up to each of us not only to know and embrace these values, but to model them in all that we do. For 125 years, these values have guided us through good times and very difficult times, through challenges we anticipated and many we did not, through 2 world wars, Vietnam, the war on terror, social unrest, 2 pandemics, the growing pains of any institution, and the unique growing pains of this institution. But we were resilient, we are resilient, and through all of our years at this time, we remain and always will be resilient. This is a complicated time for all institutions of higher education, and particularly challenging for small private universities. Many will survive, but some will not. We face this challenge here each day head on, as we always have with all of our challenges, individually and collectively as an institution. This is the time for Del Val. This is a time for us to grow in a number of strategic and essential ways. This is the time for us to invest in our roots as we broaden our reach. We will broaden our reach by adding new undergraduate and graduate programs in growing labor markets and burgeoning fields where our students will find high-quality first destinations post-graduation that will lead them on their career trajectory. This means launching new academic programs in partnership with business and institutional leaders, as we've done with Doylestown Health. The need for qualified professionals in healthcare is projected to grow significantly, and this essential relationship with Doylestown Health has allowed us to recently launch the Master's in Healthcare Administration, the Master of Science in Physician Assistant Studies, and the Master of Science in Speech-Language Pathology. As many of you know, we received our provisional accreditation in our PA program this past summer, and I'm happy to report, if you haven't seen it on the website yet, that late yesterday we received word for our speech-language pathology program that we also received 5-year provisional accreditation. I had to be careful there with the water because I've got a long history here of taking Dr. Very's bottle and drinking from it. Which doesn't upset me, but it certainly seems to upset her. We are now launching our first certificate program in cannabis. We know that the market in this space will be expanding dramatically in the very near future. And thanks to the generosity of trustee Kate Littlefield, we have a new horticulture laboratory with state-of-the-art equipment and an endowed professorship with research already underway with industrial hemp to position us as a leader in this field. We will broaden our reach by pursuing new opportunities and new relationships that will provide the complementary revenue streams that will allow us to continue to deliver the hands-on learning that defines a Del Val education. Unlike many universities, we are rich in land assets with over 1,000 acres, and we will ensure that we are utilizing all of these assets to best serve the university, our faculty, our staff, and our students. We will expand relationships with organizations, nonprofits, and for-profit corporations, such as our new relationship with Terrain, a division of Urban Outfitters. As many of you know, Urban is opening a Terrain location on our campus next spring at the site of the former market. Terrain will sell home and garden lifestyle products, offer events, and have a restaurant on our beautiful campus, utilizing many of our agricultural products both in the store and on their menus. And they will provide paid internships for our students across all majors in retail, food service, event production, media and communication, and landscape design here on our campus and at other urban locations. This relationship is a perfect example of the synergistic partnerships that we can create and that need to be part of our future between the university and a corporate entity in a way that supports teaching and learning and brings in and includes the greater community. To accomplish this growth, we will invest in our roots by investing in our institution and in our people, our most important resource, and in our facilities. We will invest in the tools and technologies needed to provide our students with the most current practical experiences. The best way to secure the future for our students in our institution is to do what we do best: work with our external partners to understand the needs of the professional workforce in growing industries, and then provide education to our students with experience in the classroom and practice in their chosen fields. We must provide our faculty with the best teaching tools and technologies available. Our students need that face-to-face learning environment with current technology, mentoring, and real-world experiences that we know lead to success. The commitment I make to you today is that regardless of where this growth takes us, we will remain true to our roots, to the values that we hold dear, and that define who we are as we embark on this next chapter in the life of Delaware Valley University. This is the time for Del Val. This is the time for Del Val not only to survive, but to thrive. 100 years ago, just before his death, Rabbi Krauskopf led the most aggressive fundraising campaign to date to build the first library at the National Farm School. He spent years raising funds so that students would have access to books and to the best information available, so that they could be educated as practitioners through a philosophy that you've heard a great deal about today of science with practice, or knowledge by doing. Our library will be 100 years old in 2024. With the evolution of technology, as is the case on all campuses, the library has far fewer books and hard copy resources than it did during Rabbi Krauskopf's time, and certainly much fewer since I arrived on campus in 1994. The library has become a gathering space for our community for both formal and informal events, as well as for classes and other educational experiences. As we look ahead, I am committed to using the centennial of the library, working with Director Peter Cooper-Smith and the entire community to evolve this prominent structure at the head of the quad to become a modern center for teaching and learning, augmenting the informational technology sources that are currently at its heart with other technologies and resources for our faculty and students, including a new media laboratory for use by all students, as well as other investments to support teaching and learning in a community space. There will be more to come about this in the coming months. We are fortunate again, through the amazing generosity of Trustee Kate Littlefield, to support our plant science program with state-of-the-art greenhouses that have the most current technology, climate control, lighting, and remote control capabilities for our students to learn the most current practices. We will continue to invest in this same level of technology and quality of learning tools across our institution and across all majors in the agricultural and life sciences, in business, and in the humanities. From smart technologies for our education majors to data analytics for our business students to autonomous tractors and drone technologies in agriculture to repeated updating of laboratories across all disciplines. We must also invest in our infrastructure, in our buildings, our classrooms, our residence halls, to update, make them more energy efficient, and to ensure they support the needs of this community, which extends beyond just having the space, but creating a sense of community, a sense of connection, and to make that even stronger than it is today. This is the time for Del Val. We have spent the last year or so celebrating our proud and storied history as part of our 125th anniversary, working to engage the Del Val community, especially our alumni and our organizational and corporate partners, in preparation for this time. This is the time for us to launch a transformative fundraising campaign to support our strategic growth initiatives. We are in deep planning and building the structure required for a successful, comprehensive campaign. You all will be hearing more from us as the silent phase of the campaign begins later in 2023, as we lay that foundation now. Rabbi Krauskopf knew all too well that perhaps the most important role of the president at an educational institution is to secure the resources needed to ensure the institution's success. He spent much of his time from the founding of the National Farm School until the day he passed, raising funds to literally keep the doors open. Our good friend, Rabbi Lance Sussman, describes Rabbi Krauskopf as incapable of being fatigued. He actually used a much bigger word that I knew I would botch in front of all of you, so I've taken some liberties. Rabbi Krauskopf simply would not be deterred. He was constantly fundraising as he traveled from Philadelphia to New York to Washington, D.C., across the country. He was not shy about asking everyone he met and their friends to support our noble cause. As Rabbi Krauskopf famously said, "I learned then what I had learned many times since, that when money is needed for a good cause, nothing is given as liberally as advice." Well, as I embark on my presidency, I will appreciate all the advice that anyone wants to give. And no one's been shy about that in the last year, I can say that. But I am going to be asking everyone and their friends to do what they can and more to secure the future for Del Val. Before we head out to the wonderful Student Harvest Festival, allow me to summarize my thoughts about we, the Delaware Valley University community, faculty, students, staff, alumni, trustees, and friends, must do at this time to move our institution forward. We will continue to grow and evolve our understanding of what experiential learning means for our students today. While the core premise of science with practice or knowledge by doing, now represented by our Experience 360 program, remains the same, the tools and technologies needed to provide the most current practices continue to change. Our commitment to experiential learning has never been more important than it is today. We will work together to secure the resources needed to ensure the success of this institution for the next 125 years. We will continue to make a Del Val education affordable and accessible, to remain true to our mission to educate our students both in and beyond the classroom through curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular experiences with the knowledge and tools they need to build a successful life. We will work together as one community to face our challenges. We will not always agree on the issues. In fact, we should not. As an institution of higher learning, it is incumbent upon us to look as broadly as we can to consider all the possibilities, to stretch our minds and to stretch our hearts, to listen with respect to all points of view, to consider always the other. But in the end, we must always come back together to collaboratively support our institution, our common cause, and our goals in keeping in mind the awesome responsibility we have to our students now and in the future. We started this ceremony with Gloria sharing the story of our founding, to solve a social justice problem in our cities, to address poverty and despair by using education to achieve equity, self-sufficiency, and progress for all. Social justice was at the heart of so much of what Rabbi Krauskopf addressed both at his synagogue, Knesset Israel, and here at Del Val. We must remain committed to issues of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging for all people, social justice, and truth. This is the time where we continue to honor and enrich the very fabric of our founding and our great institution, and in doing so, for us to continue to work together as one learning community with one purpose. In April, this isn't in the script, but since you did mention Eminem, I promise I'm not going to sing, kids. Line from a song, Lose Yourself. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime, not for Ben Rusiloski, for Delaware Valley University, for everyone in this room and beyond. This is the time for Del Val. This is our moment. Let's do this. Thank you.
Even at its longest, the race is short. Not one of us can bring back yesterday or shape tomorrow. Only today is ours. So in the precious time we have, may God strengthen us in time of trouble, confirm us in high resolve, save us from indifference, and give us peace, knowing true peace is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of love. Amen.
Would like to thank you all for being here today on this wonderful day. You are now all invited to the quad for our Student Harvest Festival, and we hope you will stop by, meet our students, and enjoy the afternoon. Again, thank you very much. Please remain seated until the platform party has left the stage and the faculty have recessed. Thank you.